with that, let me introduce Senator Whitehouse.
Thank you, Arkeel. Thank you for your hospitality, and I thought it was a great thing that this room is here at the back of the Johnson & Wales Culinary Museum, because it gave all of us a chance to walk through that facility. And if you're like me and hadn't been through it before, I found that pretty darn impressive. So it was a great way to start the day. I wanted to have this forum here as a way to reach out to the Rhode Island business community, particularly the small business community, about the various tax advantages that were contained in the Small Business Recovery Act and in the Healthcare Reform Act. Some of them, for instance, the capital gains holiday from new capital investment in small businesses in 2010, if it's held for 5 years, it's tax-free. And it expires in 2010. And here we are, December. So as people are organizing their tax planning, it would be a real shame to be making a significant capital investment in a small business in January that you could have made in December and missed this capital gains tax treatment. So I don't need to tell you that we have had a real knockdown blow economically in Rhode Island. And while that sort of sickening feeling of the bottom falling out, I think, has passed, waiting for recovery to happen is a slow, slow process, and for far too many Rhode Island families, 11.4% unemployment, there's 65,000 families who have somebody unemployed, and it's just a lot of difficulty out there. So in a state like Rhode Island, where small business has such an important role, making sure that every possible advantage in these bills can be realized by our Rhode Island small businesses is the purpose of this particular forum. And we look forward not only to having this chance to present this information here, but working with many of you who are here representing organizations to pass that information on and out to your organization so that the work that we do here today can be amplified out through the Rhode Island small business community.
So I'll be honest with you, too.
When you say the form, you're talking about the 8941?
Yeah, the 8941 and the instructions for the 8941 do have worksheets that go along with it. And the form itself, like most of our forms, follows like a recipe. So it does kind of go through. I see him smiling because I know sometimes.
Would there be like a stimulus for small business then, somewhere down the road, or a conversation on that?
The way we pushed this was through the Small Business Recovery Act. And what we wanted to do was, rather than to create a new bureaucracy or to try to push entirely new programs through the SBA, was to expand all the existing SBA programs, fund them up, and then provide an additional $30 billion that will go out to local community banks. And in order to get access to that money, you have to A, be a local community bank, B, be a solvent local community bank. This is not to prop up the bank. This is to use the knowledge, local experience, human contact that local banks have with businesses and their kind of hands-on feel for what's good and what's not, and take advantage of that to get this funding out in the form of new capital. And that is in the process of being written up legislatively and administratively now. The legislation is passed, and then we'll be working with our local banks, Bank Rhode Island, all of our local credit unions are technically eligible, but they may be at their lending cap, in which case it doesn't help them. So it's mostly the community banks. And we'll be working with them to try to make sure that they get their programs stood up as quickly as they can so that money begins to flow through to small business. $30 billion should be leverageable, and so we're looking at maybe 2 to 10 times that much availability. It's hard to know how the programs come in, and that's a pretty big program. So that's where the push has been.